Yep, these are the folks that were disembarking from the Westerdam, the Holland American cruise ship that nobody wanted, and then Cambodia took. It is a nightmare unfolding before our very eyes. Unbelievable. I am absolutely flabbergasted that as a world we cannot come together and decide on a protocol to use to screen passengers, travelers, how to quarantine, for the length of time to quarantine. Oh, and then the CDC sends out test kits that are defective. Have they all been replaced? Who knows? Are the ones that they have that are supposed to be good, are they good? Who knows? Officials are scrambling to track down passengers who came into contact with an American woman who tested positive for coronavirus after leaving a cruise ship that was supposedly free of the bug. The nightmare scenario linked to the MS Westerdam, which is docked in Cambodia, came as the U.S. evacuated Americans from another cruise liner, the Diamond Princess. More than 300 passengers, including 44 Americans, were infected on that voyage. The MS Westerdam was stranded at sea for 2 weeks after Thailand, Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, and Guam refused to let it dock because it had made a stop in Hong Kong. Very wise move on those people's parts. It was finally allowed to dock in Cambodia and began disembarking passengers on Friday. An 83-year-old U.S. woman who got off with her husband flew to Malaysia with 145 other crew passengers. She later felt ill at Kuala Lumpur Airport and sought medical help. The Holland American Cruise Company confirmed Sunday that she had tested positive for COVID-19, as the new coronavirus originating from Wuhan, China, has been named. Now health officials must track down other travelers who have since dispersed to make sure they get screened for the contagious disease. Track them down after they've been on airplanes, through airports, in restaurants, maybe shopping once they got home, maybe shopping and touring before they got home. The cab driver, the counter at the fast food place in the airport. Oh my gosh, how can we possibly track them down and determine how many people they have come in contact with, and where those people are, and who they've become in contact with, and so forth and so on. Insane. It's just insane. We are in close coordination with some of the leading health experts from around the world, Dr. Grant Tarling, Chief Medical Officer for Holland American Line, said in a statement. They should have consulted those medical experts before letting those people disembark from that ship. These experts are working with the appropriate national health authorities to investigate and follow up with individuals who may have come in contact with the guest. Okay, the appropriate national health authorities. Where? What country? We have no idea who these national health authorities are or what their protocol is. Holland America said it screened 1,445 passengers on board February 10th and did not find any elevated temperatures. During the voyage, there was no indication of COVID-19 on the ship, it said. But the cruise line said it had tested just 20 patients for the virus. They picked and chose 20 people out of 1,445 passengers, plus like 802 crew members, they tested 20 people. But the 83-year-old woman, the American, never visited the clinic and was never tested. If she was sick while on board the Westerdam and did not develop symptoms until later, it raises the question of whether other cruise passengers who have gone on to final destinations could fall into the same category. We know that the incubation period of 14 days is not long enough. The diagnosis underscores the continuing uncertainty about whether or to what degree the average patient can spread coronavirus before they show symptoms. We know that in Japan there was a man who went and visited his sister, returned home, and was supposedly alone for 42 days and then became ill with the coronavirus. 42 days, people. As the Westerdam situation unfolded, the U.S. evacuated about 300 Americans who had been quarantined on another cruise ship, the Diamond Princess, where 355 people were infected with coronavirus. At least some of them will need to be quarantined for another 2 weeks once they arrive back in the U.S. Matthew Smith, who has been chronicling the onboard quarantine on Twitter, said he and his wife decided to stay behind. He writes on Twitter, "Please stop telling us to leave everything behind for our health. Our health is fine. And what is likely to happen if we stay here is we will test negative next week and the Japanese will let us go. Your and our government's alternative is to cram us on a bus and a plane." Oh, man. People just are not getting it. Okay, COVID-19 has killed 1,770 people in China. 105 of them on Monday alone, the government announced. On Sunday, Chinese officials had been quick to point out that the number of new cases had declined the 3 previous days and credited their infection control measures, but the number crept up again on Monday. The head of the World Health Organization cautioned that it was impossible to predict which direction this epidemic will take, and that unpredictability could be seen in Taiwan, where officials revealed the first person to die of coronavirus was a cab driver who got sick after picking up passengers from China, Hong Kong, and Macau. One of the man's family members has also tested positive. Officials there are trying to figure out who was in the man's cab. Well, and who was in the store with the man, and who was at the eatery when the man had dinner or breakfast or lunch, and who was in the bathroom where he used their facilities. How on God's green earth could you possibly track down where that man has been? And now his family member's sick. Where have they been? And who has been in the man's cab? Wow. That's just insane. How are we ever going to contain this virus? How are we ever going to finally get to the end of this virus? If we have political leaders around the world all making up their own guidelines and protocols for how to handle travelers who could possibly be infected with coronavirus. And without tracking the passengers or quarantining them or testing them, you have no idea if they're carrying the coronavirus. And the same thing applies to everyone you pass in the supermarket. or at the hardware store. Anywhere you go that you come in contact with the public, you have no idea if the person standing next to you, in front of you, behind you, is infected with coronavirus. Coronavirus is like a puff of smoke. It's in the air. You cannot see it. You do not know. Coughing and sneezing? Sure, you want to back away. You want to, get out of that area. But people are contagious with this virus, and you have no idea who is contagious. Please, I'm begging you, please put on your mask, your gloves, and your goggles. If you're doing it, pretty soon other people will be doing it too. Be the leader. Don't be the follower. Be the leader that steps out in front and says, yes, this is a real threat to the health of the world. And right here in my neighborhood, I'm going to take steps to prevent it from spreading. I am going to be responsible for my actions. And maybe by me taking responsibility for my actions, other people will step up and be responsible for theirs. Not fear-mongering here. This virus is highly contagious, and it's showing itself to be quite deadly. So please, people, put on your mask, your goggles, your gloves, bring your wipes with you. Leave your kids and your old people at home if at all possible. If your mom or dad are elderly and they need something from the store, put on your mask, your goggles, your gloves, grab your wipes, and go pick it up for them if you're able. Keep them from going out into the public. Let them stay home in a safe place. Leave your kids at home if you don't have to take them with you to the store. Make arrangements with your neighbor so you guys can switch off watching your kids at home while you run to the store or they run to the store. Try to combine your trips. When you get home, disinfect yourself. I bought a little $20 ozone machine, which sterilizes anything and everything, okay? It's just small. It'll do a small room. So when I come home, I can hang up my clothes in the bathroom, take off my shoes, take off my mask, lay it on the counter, turn on the ozone machine. The next morning, everything is sterilized and ready to be used again without any risk of infection. I'm praying for the world. I'm praying for the world leaders to come to the conclusion that this is a serious and real threat to the public that they're responsible for as leaders of their country. And I pray that people who have been listening to WHO talk about political correctness and hurting someone's feelings can get a grip, because they were saying, don't wear a mask. You don't need to wear a mask. Right, yeah. Okay, let's play nice. Let's pretend that everything's okay. No, I'm done pretending. I'm not going to pretend that everything is okay, because it is not. Put on your mask, your gloves, your goggles. Be a leader. Get out in front of this thing. Help protect everyone in your community by wearing your protective gear. May God help us all. In Yeshua's precious name, I ask that He protect us all from the ignorance and incompetence and lack of common sense of world leaders around the world, and even here at home in America. Amen.